Alright guys, so in this video we're going to talk about object literals. Okay, I don't want to get too much into object-oriented programming yet, so we're not going to talk about constructors or prototypes or anything like that just yet, but I do want to talk about just the object literal reference types. So what we're going to do here is create a variable called person, and we're going to set it to a set of curly braces. This defines an object literal. So in here we can put key value pairs. So let's do first name, and then we want this to be a string of Steve. Alright, now if we want to access this property, then we can go console.log. Actually, you know what we'll do is we'll set, just like we've been doing, we'll set let val, and we'll say val equals person, and then down here we'll console.log. The reason I do it like this is so that we don't have console.logs all over the place. We're just basically mutating val. So val person, let's save that, and you'll see we're just going to get a printout of the object itself. Now if we want to get a specific value, then we can say, let's do val equals person dot first name and save, and we get Steve. Alright, now that's not the only way that we can select values from an object. We can also use this syntax. We can say person and then use some brackets and say first name, save that, and we get Steve. Alright, now this is the way that I recommend. This is the way that you're usually going to see, but you can do it this way. Alright, so let's add some other stuff. We'll say last name Smith. So if we were to change this to last name, you'll see we get Smith. Alright, so those are strings. We can put numbers, so we'll say age 30. Let's do email. We'll say Steve at, he's old school, so he still has an AOL.com email address. Let's say hobbies. So we'll put an array in here. We'll say music, sports. Alright, so we can put arrays. We can put embedded objects, so basically another object. So we'll do address. Set that to some curly braces. We'll say city, Miami, and let's say state, Florida. Okay, we can also do functions. So let's say get birthday, or let's do get birth year, and we'll set that to a function, and we'll return, I don't know the exact year, I'm just going to say 1980, I don't know, 7. And I'm going to change this. I'm going to show you something that we can do in a minute, but for now I'm just going to return the value. So if we go down here, we can say val equals person dot age. Okay, that'll give us 30. We can say person dot what do we have? Let's do the array. So hobbies, and that'll print out the whole array. If we want just, let's say, sports, that's in the 1 position. Arrays are 0 base, which we learned in the last section, or in the last lecture. So let's say hobbies, and then we'll open up some brackets, and we'll put in a 1, and that's going to give us sports. Alright, now for the address object, we'll say person dot address. That'll actually print out the whole object, but let's say we just wanted the state, we could say dot state. Alright, and then of course we could also do, we could also do the other syntax. So if we wanted to do brackets and then city, save that, that will also work. Alright, so for the function, we'll say person dot get birth year. We need to have some parentheses because it is a function. Save that, we get 1987. Alright, now within objects, we can access other properties. Alright, so let's say for the birth year, we want to calculate this. So we're going to return 2017, which is the current year, and we want to take away the age, okay, the year, the whatever is in the age. Now to access this, if we just say age and we save that, we're going to get this error. It says age is not defined. When you're inside an object like this, you need to use the this keyword. Okay, so this is pertaining to the object. Now we're going to get more into this later on, but I just wanted to show you a basic example. So if we go ahead and save that, now we'll get 1987. It's actually calculating it by subtracting whatever is in the age from 2017. So if I change the age to, let's say, 36 and save, we get 1981. All right, so another thing that you'll often see is arrays of objects. So for instance, if we have an array called people, set that to a set of brackets, and then in here we can have different objects. So name, and then we could put a comma here. We could have another object. All right, and then we could actually loop through this if we wanted to. For instance, we could do a for loop. Now I haven't gotten into loops yet, so don't worry about it, but just to show you, we could do, let's say, let I equal 0, as long as I is less than people.length. So as long as it's less than the length of the array, and then we just want to increment I by 1 through every iteration. And then let's just do a console.log of people, the current iteration, which would be I, and then let's get the name. So we'll say dot name and save, and now it's going to print out John and Mike. If I were to add another object here, so let's call this one Nancy. We'll say she's 40 and save, and you can see that now Nancy's getting added. But don't worry about it. If you don't know anything about loops, we're going to get into that later on. All right, so that's the core fundamentals of creating an object literal. We'll get into constructors and things like that later, which is another way to create objects and object instances. All right, so thanks guys. In the next video, we're going to take a look at date and times. So working with dates and times in JavaScript.